Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we'll be recapping everything that happened during of Big Brother 27. From competition results and major power shifts to unexpected evictions and evolving alliances, we'll cover all the key moments that shape this stage of the game. Let's get started. Last week saw the conclusion of Big Brother 27, a finale that garnered the highest ratings for the show in 3 years. But only a month ago, fans of the hit CBS summer series were expressing their outrage en masse with the show's visit to the White Locust, in what would end up becoming one of the most controversial twists in the show's history. Episode 29 saw the remaining 9 houseguests celebrate a huge accomplishment in the game of Big Brother, making it to jury. And while they thought production was throwing them a swanky soiree to commemorate the occasion, it turned out to be the setup for a game-changing turn. Over the course of one action-packed night, the players competed for safety, won by Ava Pearl, and kicked off a dramatic intense chain of picks to complete a time challenge, first seen in the spin-off Big Brother reindeer games. Every subsequent pick had the time to finish the challenge reduced. The first person to fail the challenge would be immediately eliminated on the spot. Naturally, the house broke into chaos with this concept. Lies were told and arms were pulled. Vince Panaro successfully got both of his tight allies Lauren Domingue and Morgan Pope to the next round, but unintentionally set up further tensions between the two. And all culminated in the season's lone returnee, Rachel Reilly, having her game end in the Hamster Wheel of Death. The former winner couldn't complete the maze in 2 minutes and 30 seconds and was taken out, having never received an eviction vote or even hit the block up to that point. The White Locust twist, as well as Rachel's elimination, prompted a massive response from both the Big Brother fanbase and alumni. Showrunners and executive producers Allison Grodner and Meehan addressed the controversy in a recent interview with Entertainment Weekly. Most prominently, they addressed the critique that the twist didn't feel like Big Brother, choosing to outright eliminate someone through competition rather than a typical eviction vote. "I think that's off base," Grodner reasons. "There absolutely was a social element to this. In reindeer games as well. Remember, not everyone was going to go into that wheel. So your relationships and where you stood in the hierarchy of things and your threat level and the way that you worked in those 10 minutes and jockeyed for position were key. It was absolutely built to be social and strategic as well as competitive," adds Meehan. Grodner uses the season's eventual winner, Ashley Hollis, as an example of their point. Ashley was part of that same alliance that Rachel was in, but yet no one said to put her in the wheel. Why was that? "I think that the way that you worked those intervals was critical in terms of your survival during the White Locust twist. So I do think there's a social element." The two went on to explain why they chose to bring the competition from reindeer games into Big Brother proper. The way Grodner and Meehan see it, the concept actually baked much of a typical week of the show into one bite-sized piece. "When it was originally designed, we looked at the layers of Big Brother from a social and strategic level," explains Meehan. "When we looked at this, we're like, well, the initial challenge is kind of like an HOH, you can save yourself. But then you start to chain, and if you get sent to the hamster wheel, it's kind of like a veto where you have the opportunity to save yourself. Now, the big difference is instead of saving yourself with a vote after, you have to save yourself with a vote before. So you have to strategically and socially figure out how you're going to play that to determine whether you're going into the wheel with enough time, or whether you're going to avoid going into the wheel. So the social and strategic element precedes it versus happening after." Of course, the showrunners understand that much of the response comes from the fact that Rachel was the one to go. And while Grodner says emphatically that nobody wanted the legend to go out on a twist like this, to her, it was a situation she put herself in entirely. "It was interesting because Rachel single-mindedly needed to get on that wheel," says Grodner. "In her mind, that was the strategic move for her. Ultimately, could she have avoided it? It is possible. She had other allies that could have gone up in her place. It's her own ally that put her in the wheel." Of course, that's not to say Grodner and Meehan were completely immune from the criticism. Indeed, the former reveals in the interview that she received death threats from fans over the twist. But the two would rather look on the sunny side of the discourse, as Meehan says. "In season 27 of a show, if you can generate that much conversation and that much buzz." Given their attitude, it begs the question, will another Hamster Wheel of Death twist appear in Big Brother moving forward? "It's definitely something we'll look at," Meehan answers. "Is it something that could come back? probably could come back. Will it definitely come back every season? I don't know about that. Grodner ends the interview by telling players and fans that future appearances of the twist should be more expected than unexpected. Future house guests should be ready. However, Julie Chen Moonves is a television icon. This is thanks not only to hosting Big Brother, but also her time as one of the co-hosts on the CBS daytime talk show The Talk. Now she's opening up about the talk show being cancelled, and how the success of Love Island may have helped the newest season of Big Brother. Julie joined Big Brother for its very first season in 2000. Since then, she has hosted all but one live episode, with the exception being when she had COVID. Now the show is in its 27th season and it's still going strong. Recently, Julie appeared on an episode of SiriusXM's Andy Cohen Live. One of the first notable questions came when Andy asked for her reaction to the talk being cancelled, which happened in December 2024. Julia stated, "I was sad, but I was also aware that it had become such a different show because when I was on." She continued, "It was all women, and there was some chatter about maybe putting a guy on the panel when Aisha left. The year before was my last year and my husband always said he was like, if you put men on that panel you just change the dynamic. Right now it's a bunch of women having a grand old time, yucking it up." She added, "And it was sad for me to see, but really there were very few remnants left of the show that I had worked on. Disappointing because I look at The View, and I'm like, I felt like the talk could have lasted just as long as The View is lasting." Andy then said that the show's decision to stay away from topical issues was one of its problems, and Julie called that decision tone-deaf. She added, "When we started, things were different in history. The tone was different in the country, but you gotta listen and you gotta adapt." From there, they delved into discussing the current season of Big Brother, specifically focusing on Morgan Pope and Vince Panaro. Andy said, "Now I am fascinated by Morgan and Vince's relationship, and specifically, Vince has had this girlfriend for 7 years. Sounds like she was not at the finale last night, right?" She responded, "She was not there. His parents were there, and I think the first indication was when he didn't get a message from home from her. It was only his parents. You saw the surprise and the concern and the, devastation on Vince's part, but apparently, it's a long-distance relationship." Julie continued, "Apparently she lives in another state and he lives here in LA, and I guess there might have been some chatter that they might break up before the show, before he would go into the house, so it sounds like maybe it was on its last legs anyway." He then mentioned how this season of Big Brother saw a 30% ratings increase. Andy then asked Julie if she felt it could be due to people's thirst for more after Love Island ended. She said, "Absolutely. I actually said that this morning to someone because I think, and you know what?" She went on, "My son who's 16, he said, when his generation of friends are starting to talk about Big Brother, he said right when Love Island wrapped up, he's like, you're getting that audience. They miss Love Island. They want something similar to it and Big Brother is the next closest thing. And I do think that is why we trended upward towards the end. I mean, for a network show to have any increased seasons in and like 27 seasons in." However, Ashley Hollis made history when she won Big Brother season 27, but there's another player this season who actually deserved to win the game. Big Brother 27 was a chaotic season and for a while, it seemed like anyone could pull out the win. Although Morgan Pope seemed like the obvious winner for much of the second half of the game, anything can happen on finale night. Plus, arguably the season's best player was taken out with a game-changing twist, and the blockbuster meant competition wins were often more important than a social game. Big Brother season 27 took "Expect the Unexpected" to a new level, so Ashley's victory was a fitting end to the CBS social experiment. However, Ashley played a much safer game than some of her fellow Big Brother 27 players, and that shouldn't have necessarily been rewarded. Someone else actually should have taken home the $750,000 grand prize. Ashley won Big Brother season 27 due to having a clean social game. She only won 2 competitions, a veto when she was on the block week 1, and the final head of household, so she never had to nominate anyone or make anyone angry with her game decisions. Her lack of competitive threat allowed her to remain safe while other, larger threats were targeted. However, Vince Panaro played a much more dangerous and difficult Big Brother game and should have been rewarded for that. Vince won 4 HOHs, forcing him to nominate most of the people who initially walked into the house. Vince got a lot of blood on his hands, but that's the nature of Big Brother. Sure, Vince lied a lot to almost everyone in the house, but lying is a part of the game. As infamous Big Brother Season 7 winner Mike Boogie said, "This is the Big Brother house. You can bounce checks." Vince's ability to lie, manipulate, and pivot when he was found out landed him a spot in the final 2 chairs, and the jury should have looked past their bitterness. Some of the most iconic Big Brother players in the history of the show were known for their manipulation tactics. Dan Gilsing, Dr. Will Kirby, and Evil Dick Donato all played ruthless games and were rewarded, rather than punished, for their ability to turn the tides in their favor. In the final episode's jury roundtable, Rachel Reilly told her fellow Big Brother Season 27 cast members, "We cannot say we hate Vince's game, but love Dr. Will and love Dan Gilsing." Yet, when given the opportunity, Rachel refused to cast her vote for Vince to win the game. Ashley didn't upset any of the jury members because she didn't make enough game moves to cause any evictions or get any blood on her hands. That is to say, she was a floater. Vince worked hard at every possible moment to undo the damage he caused on Big Brother, and was successful every single time. He should have been rewarded as the winner of the